Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is VlogsBoutNothin. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your night to join me. I really appreciate that. To all of our new subs and viewers, welcome to the channel. Here we do a whole lot of nothing, and all while maintaining the stance that it is the absolute best thing to do. You feel me? And, I want to talk tonight about something that's fairly recent and is of concern because obviously young people don't know enough about it, old people think they know everything, and middle aged millennials are just exacerbating an already perpetual issue when it comes to their faith and core values. As it would be like hiding them and pretending that everything's all good. As in pretending the fact that, porn is like the first most searched thing in the entire internet for both men and women, but yet it's a hard thing to talk about. So tonight we're going to do what we always do and talk about something a little more difficult in terms of, again, age verification on adult websites. So, in theory, there should be nothing wrong with this at all. You feel me? As somebody who grew up as one of these millennials who disagrees with my cohort and or counter group, my peer group in this regard, because while, a lot of them advocate for transparency and all of these things, it's weird when anti-safety measures are shot down because grown adults have a hidden agenda. And this is a bipartisan issue. You feel me? This is a cronyism issue. This is, in fact, a value and ethical issue when it concerns being real transparent and real honest. In that it should be unarguable or inarguable that age verification is a thing. Like, Google can only do so much, parents can only do so much, but the added security measure of their needing to have like a license uploaded so that they know that it's you feel me? I'd even go so far as to say like we have biometrics on our banking apps. You feel me? Like, why wouldn't you have a biometric little app thing on your view history for porn? Again, understand that it is a private thing and you want that data, in its all transparent sort of existence to remain to your sort of, privy, and that's fine. We're all entitled to the feeling of being private at any point. You understand? So I'm not a fan of corporations gathering data for purposes of harvesting it and other things, but sometimes you gotta pay to play. And I think that at the cost of young people getting addicted to porn before they see a real breast is a problem. I mean, you feel me? Because we now know from research that children growing up watching pornography are going to have a real difficult time maintaining long-term relationships with members of the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever their preference is. So instead of setting up our children for failure, we should probably do things as responsible adults to rein in as much of that as we can. Because again, people are going to get what they want regardless. In terms of, it's one thing to tell underage people to not do something and for them to actually follow through, but it is up to us ultimately to foolproof the things we absolutely can control in a world where it is a simple consent of allowing pornography websites to gather just a little bit more info about you, and I'd argue in a more transparent way because they're gathering it whether you want to or not, So, I mean, why not consent to it being gathered at, a point to where it can congregate or aggregate into real data that can help drive AI to prevent people that are under the age of 21 or 18 to look at adult videos. You feel me? There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. But the hidden agenda with my, lovely millennial politician cohort friends is that they feel like it's going to be a problem for them. You feel me? So because it's going to be a problem for them and their personal attitudes, behaviors, and or core values, which are all muddled and gray at best, and that if you're going to watch porn, watch porn. You feel me? If you're going to be in a dedicated relationship with a partner and you're telling them that you're not watching porn and you're watching porn, that's on you. You feel me? If you're a sitting congressperson in the state of Texas and the camera busts you twice for watching porn when you're supposed to be doing your job, that's on you. You feel me? Like, so I don't understand why adults don't want to do things that are going to help out future generations. One, it's almost as if like it's, you're on your own kind of a thing, and that's truly not the way to run a society that needs to get better, that demands getting better. Otherwise, what's the point? Seriously, what's the point? I mean, we already live in a pretty unequal world, where it's arguably pretty just straightforward to kind of find any reason to, not get by, right? But to like participate in an economic system that perpetuates, like, just keeps you down, does not help you up at all. You feel me? I mean, I remember learning about the caste system when I was like 6, and then I was thinking to myself then 30 years ago too, like, well, what's changed? I mean, well, what's really changed? Nothing actually, other than what we call ourselves, right? So I just really think that age verification is something that should be required on a federal level. I would take the case to the Supreme Court. I mean, it's weird. Again, when I live in a world where we live in a world in a country where good old conservative Texas is the one voting against added regulations to verify the age of visitors on pornographic websites. I mean, again, Texas is like Mr. Miss Conservative all time. You feel me? I mean, they're a pretty conservative group of folk down there in Texas. Hey, they're my neighbors. They've been my family's neighbors for generations beyond. You feel me? I've driven through Texas many times. I like Amarillo. You feel me? I'm a fan of Amarillo. Yes, it's a lovely little city, just a couple hours east of Santa Rosa and Tucumcari, right from where my family comes from, another part of the state. You know what I mean? So again, Eastern New Mexico, all that, like, I just really feel like some of those conservative core values, by my peer group should be, like, enforced down there. I mean, in terms of, like, come on now. Again, the only possible reason for adults to not want to pass legislation to protect our youth and young adults is, unfortunately but honestly, just because they themselves don't want to put their license in because, again, they're in a dedicated relationship. I mean, how many people, it blows my mind. I mean, we live in a world too, by the way, friendly reminder, where people are kind of cool with open relationships. So if that's your thing too, that's your thing, and do it. But don't do it like Mr. Sketch, you feel me? Because, like, I hope that everyone has a lovely night. We get into these topics, and I just, again, even as much as young people under the age of 18 or 21 wouldn't like to be, like, hear that, in that it's pretty easy to just go on your phone and literally go down the rabbit hole of all of human anatomy, you feel me? And, like, again, whether or not that's a good thing is debatable, but I would say that it's inarguable when it concerns people that are not developed yet fully in cognitive speaking, and it moreover does have that impact, right? The impact of which leads them to not be able to be in relationships when they're older. And I'm not trying to be a part of that conversation when these guys get older and they're, explaining to me or ragging on old people because we did not act in accordance with how we should have acted. It shouldn't take 2 more generations, for them to finally be like, okay, well, we had all these major health problems and all these mental health disorders and this lack of love in our life, and our parents and grandparents did nothing about it. They were just kind of like, roll that dice, buddy boy. Not fair, not okay, unjustifiable, and again, something that needs to be talked about more, because the people that are blocking this kind of legislation and stuff aren't the people, like, they're not 20-year-olds, they're not just out of college. These are millennial, middle-aged, and older folks trying to keep that whole status quo thing going when it comes to, laissez-faire type stuff as it concerns our own individual humanistic behavior. And the pornographic companies are laughing all the way, right? Again, because they aggregate the data and sell it regardless of whether or not you want them to. Now, I think we should get something for our consent in that regard. You know what I mean? And a little bit of that could be help from them in making sure that the people who visit these sites are of age to visit them. That's all. Age verification on pornographic videos. Yes, we're an advocate for it here on Vlogs About Nothing. And that's kind of why I guess I identify as a social capitalist. And I guess on paper, technically, for this election cycle, an independent. But nonetheless, that's not going to fly for me. It's not a bipartisan issue, again, in so much that it's a generational issue. And if somebody doesn't put a stop to it, then it will always and forever be a problem. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, we don't need, pornographic websites to be the ones that are dictating, like, hey guys, we're just gonna, we need to calm this down a little bit. We're gonna need to implement some security measures here to make sure that, they're not going to do that. They're not going to voluntarily do this because that's not their job. But it is somebody's job. It's our job. And as private constituents and as citizens, it's our job to engage in that way to prevent our future generations from not being able to connect with another human being because of our inability to want to be transparent and open in a world that offers zero privacy as it is. So that's all. I hope you guys have a lovely evening. Thank you for watching the channel. If you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. It helps it out a bunch, it being the channel. And yeah, you guys, I hope that you just have a safe, fun Thursday night, alright? We'll see everyone tomorrow. TGIF. Alright. Bye.